All right. So a lot of stuff has happened in this section. I'm not actually sure I'm going to be able to cover it all in one video, but we're going to find out. So, starting with two things I mentioned in the last video that I should have known better. The first being that the prisoner in the cell that they threw a fish into and they spit out the bones and killed someone with, I had said that was Kid in there. Because apparently I shouldn't be reading One Piece on double the daily dose of allergy medication. That's a different prisoner. That was not Kid. That was a different cell. Another mistake, by the way, is trying to watch Steins Gate on double the daily recommended dose of allergy medication with a headache. Do not recommend doing that either. The second thing is I had mentioned that the last time I remember seeing Drake was during the birdcage event, and he had escaped with the Marines. And I'm like, well, how'd he end up with Kaido? I don't actually pay attention or really recognize characters too easily until after I care about them, so I started caring about Drake during that moment, and therefore it was the last time I remembered seeing him, really. Forgetting the fact that we had cover chapters with Caribou and also his, where he had went into Kaido's territory and was likely defeated by them, because when Caribou came and tried to defeat the same character that Drake had went up against, Drake had come in for backup. So thank you, comment section, for reminding me of those events. Completely forgot, was not paying attention to who that person was in those moments. So yes, upon reread of One Piece, at least going through this time, I will know who the characters are and I will recognize them and pay attention more there. Starting with, we are given clips of Greco More, the zombie guy from Thriller Bark, who I had thought Flamingo had killed, but apparently he's still alive. I don't think Oda likes to kill any of his characters. This is why you're telling me, like, they can't resurrect anyone. Oda doesn't like bringing them back from the dead. It's because he doesn't kill them to begin with, except in flashbacks and Marineford to traumatize me. So he is attacking Blackbeard's pirates, which is just a terrible idea. One of them has the clear fruit, so he thinks that his buddy from Thriller Bark has betrayed him and is actually still alive. Turns out he's not alive. The clear fruit now belongs to the Nazi-looking guy from Impel Down. The was it former warden or something like that? That guy. And Blackbeard, giving a performance, starts telling me how the revolutionary has attacked the Reverie and is trying to get Kuma back, and are now currently in battle with two of the admirals. I need to see this, but Oda's holding that over our head of the consequences of that and the fallout from it, and is Sabo okay? I don't know. We also have the issue with, is it Peronia? The pink-haired goth girl with Mihawk. She's so excited to hear that Moria is alive that she's rushing up, but then she's upset that Mihawk is just like letting her go after they've spent all this time together and cooking and all that. But he's like, just get out of here. I got other things I need to worry about. So something's going to come with Mihawk, I assume. Cut to Luffy and Kid in the prison, so they are just dragging giant stones around like it's nothing and earning vast amount of food tickets, because if you don't work, you don't eat. So they are working so much better despite having the sea prism cuffs on them that's limiting their powers, and everyone's just shocked how strong can these people be if they had those taken off, that they're just eating all the food, got right fat, and deplenishing the food storage, which pisses off one of the guards or wardens, which leads to him attacking them, and indirectly also attacking this old man and almost stomping on him, which Luffy then protects. And Luffy gets angry. They get eaten by the hippo, and ends up taking out the guard from the inside of this hippo stomach mouth thing. And you're not supposed to attack the guards, so they almost get executed for that, only for, like, I think it's just a technicality of, well, you were in the mouth, we didn't see what happened. I think they were just too scared to attack them at this point. I'm not really sure if it's related, but I am curious on whether or not we're going to get any explanation or mention back to how Robin was in that prison camp for a time before the revolution got her out. And they were building that bridge for, like, it was like centuries. They were building this bridge, and what it was going to, I think it was just for the convenience of the Celestial Dragons to get from point A to point B. But it is nice to see how like people in power, the work camps, and the parallels here in Wano, people in power. But here they're trying to break their spirits so that they can join Kaido's crew, and then they're also making weapons and doing manual labor and stuff like that. So I'm not really sure if there's meant to be a parallel, but maybe. The old man thanks Luffy for his show of kindness and protecting him. We learn this man, Hayo, used to be a like Yakuza boss, very highly respected, but he's been beaten down in this prison for so long. Luffy gives him meal tickets. And the only thing I'm thinking of right now is Luffy is sharing food. Has Luffy accepted the fact that he is a hero and heroes share their food? I don't know. But or maybe the fact that the dumpling girl gave him all her food in the form of rice is just like, okay, I can share my food to these people and pay that forward. And he's already vowed to make Wano a place where no one goes hungry. Or maybe it's just Luffy being the sweet boy he is regardless. But anyway, he is sharing his food. He's giving away his meal tickets, to which the old man will then later get in trouble for because he shouldn't have had those meal tickets and Luffy's going to have to save him again, but we'll get to that afterwards. We also are introduced to Caribou again, so he's in this prison and he wants meal tickets and Luffy says, no, you're not getting any. But Raizo's also there, and he's sneaking around trying to get the keys to the Sea Prism cuffs, and his addition that, again, we'll talk about it a little bit later, is honestly hilarious to me, because he works so hard trying to get these keys and to save Luffy, and it was not necessary. Cut to Nami and the Shinobi Konichi woman sneaking around trying to get information, and we have Sanji in his sabo shop cooking up, and we know Sanji being like the best cook there is, even with probably not the best ingredients. He's making a meal that everyone loves and is lined up for blocks for, which pisses off the local family or whoever's in charge of this street, who go to attack him because, hey, you need to pay your like protection fees so nothing bad happens to you. Just extort him for that. Sanji's not having any of it, so they end up attacking his stand and knocking the food out of this one little smiling girl's hands. My sweet little girl, darling angel. Sanji's pissed at the wasting of food, beats up this gang of thugs and like, eat this off the floor, like you're wasting food, I'm gonna shove it down your throat. So I love those moments of Sanji. It's my favorite part of his character, how much he values food and not wasting it. So this little girl, pink hair, Toko, is it Toko or is it Otoko, or is the Otoko a joke? Because I think the O is respective but maybe male. I'm going with Toko. So she is given the food. She's thankful. It's the best she's ever eaten. She was so worried she wouldn't get any. And then she explains she's late for her job. She's with the Orion, this most beautiful woman in all of Wano. She's serving her. Robin is also invited to the banquet that this woman is also going to. I did learn her name. Give me a second. Komurasaki. So I'm going to talk about everything about her right now, so obviously spoilers for close to later on in this arc. So Komurasaki, at first, I did not know how to feel about her because first of all, she looks exactly like Robin. And yes, Robin is one of the most beautiful characters in the show, so it makes sense that this woman is the most beautiful woman in Wano. However, I'm just like, I can't tell you two apart. Now, she is seen like swindling these older men to give her all their money, saying, I need you to buy my freedom. I'm so miserable here. I love you. Can you save me? We'll live a life together. And they give her all their money. And then when they go saying, hey, we bought your freedom, and she's like, those were all gifts. What are you talking about? No one paid for my freedom to leave this place I'm working in. And so it's like, but I sold my family, I sold my home, I sold everything I ever had. And she's like, well, you have no money, you're now useless to me. So one, elder financial abuse, but also, did you say you sold your family to buy her freedom? What the hell? It's then later revealed that the people she's swindling out of money are people, like, I think there's like committing arson and then like wood builders and all this other. So they're making money off their own crimes. So, and they're high up in the Shogun's like people and just this political environment. So she's specifically targeting the people who are hurting those lower in poverty and in Wano. So what the hell's with that? Now, during the banquet, many things are happening, but we're going to focus on her for the time being. The Shogun guy, Orochi bastard, he is saying how Momo's family was defeated, but they're prophesized to return now that it's been 20 years, and they all have to be on the lookout. And everyone's stifling back laughter because they think he's just being paranoid and kind of foolish. But Toko she just burst out laughing. This sweet little girl is just laughing. And the fact that she's laughing in this moment is miserable to me upon finishing this section, because she probably wants to cry knowing that this family that she respects has all been killed because of this man and the life she's in, but she can't express any fear or sadness. All she can do is laugh at all the emotions she's feeling. She can't contain it. Now, he's the reason that she can only laugh, looks at that as an insult and is just like, killed this girl. But Komurasaki is the one who stands up to the Shogun and slaps him in the face, like, how dare you attack this child? I'm not going to allow it. And he is transformed into this big dragon, snaky dragon monster with multiple heads, and she does not flinch. He's saying, beg for my forgiveness. I don't want to waste your beauty by killing you, so beg for your forgiveness. And she's just like, I am the daughter of a samurai. I will have my honor. You do not frighten me. I will not apologize. She says nothing else. And like that, I love that moment for her. She's protecting this child. And then the Shogun guy doesn't want to kill her. So instead, what's his name? I honestly was just calling him Elvis because of his hair. Give me a second. Kyoshiro? Let's go with that. He ends up attacking her, slicing her down, killing her, saying no one can disrespect the Shogun guy. But he's also the one she was working with in that house and swindling all those people out of their money. Later, it is revealed that she is still alive, running through the snow with Toko when she meets up with Zoro in that moment. So very clearly, I'm going with that him and her are working together, even though he seems to be somebody that's really close to Orochi bastard, just because he's high up in that. So I'm thinking that they've been planning for a while to infiltrate his men and like go up in society, to be in a position to be ready for when Momo's family returns. He's also, I think, the one who reveals the secret for the crescent moon to Orochi bastard and got everyone locked up. However, by revealing that secret and rounding everyone up, later on it made the Shogun guy look like an idiot when it was someone claimed that it had all been a prank and he's just being paranoid and not to trust him because he overreacts to everything. And B, puts all the people loyal to Momo in one location. So I really do think that he's actually on our side and is just undercover. It's Robin who gets Toko out of there when the girl who looks like Robin is struck down. And Nami and the shinobi guy, as well as shinobi girl, Konichi, as well as Brook in his ghost kind of spirit form, all attack. Nami summons Zeus and lightning strike. I love her with Zeus. Makes an attack that allows everyone else to escape from this palace banquet. Next, we have Momo talking about Hiyori, his sister, who is now, 26 years old, probably in hiding, and is hopefully still alive, but most likely using a different name. He's not going to be able to see her until after the battle. Hopefully he'll be able to find her. At that moment, I should have realized that Komurasaki was Hiyori, but stupid me had been thinking that she was actually the daughter of Kinemon after he had mentioned, his wife is still single, never did move on, had been waiting for him all this time. So I had figured she had also been pregnant and had a daughter without Kinemon even knowing, and that was who this was. That's who I thought she was. I was very wrong because she is actually Momo's sister. So she eventually meets up with Zoro, and Zoro protects her from an oncoming assassin who is actually Kid's friend Killer that was forced to eat the smile fruit. I might as well talk about the smile fruit while we're out of order. No, I can't talk about the smile fruit out of order yet. We have to get through a different traumatizing event. We'll work my way there. So Orochi Bastard had a meeting with CP0 about distributing of weapons and what's going on now that Doflamingo had been removed from his position and the vacancy of power. And Orochi Bastard had said he actually, before he was asking for ships and stuff like that, now he's asking for Vegapunk to be delivered to him. They're saying no, and he's just like, I have Kaido backing me, I can do whatever the hell I want. He's not afraid of, like, even the celestial dragons. Like, Wano stands on its own and defends itself and can do whatever it wants. You have Robin looking for more information on the plan before getting caught, and thankfully the one of Robin that was killed was actually a clone, and then that's when Brook and Nami and Zeus and all that happens so she can escape. Momo is training and talking about, I forget the phrase, the word. He says a word during his training and is told, you really shouldn't say that because it's from these people from years ago who couldn't wait the 20 years for your family to return, and they went off to fight Kaido and all died. That was their saying. And it turns out Momo had heard it from Zoro, who had heard it from an old man in his village. So why is an old man in Zoro's hometown saying a very specific phrase that relates here to Wano? I don't know if some surviving members of that group washed ashore, or maybe their family members went running or in hiding after a loved one betrayed the country to fight Kaido, and now they had to flee Wano, got away, and made it to the East Blue. That just doesn't seem very plausible, so I'm very excited to see the payoff for that moment and that little line. Inserting tinfoil hat theory, the last time someone just dropped by Zoro's village from further out would be Dragon. So would it have been possible for Dragon to have went to Wano, picked up refugees that knew the saying, and brought them back? I am not sure. You have Sanji being attacked by that family again, and this time it's Drake and some guy who can turn to a Spinosaurus attacking him, or looking for him, for what he did to beating up that family, because you got to respect the hierarchy. And they're attacking innocent civilians. So Sanji actually puts on the raid suit, which I was not expecting. I didn't expect him to use that until the fight with Kaido, whenever that's going to happen. And he uses it to turn invisible during that fight, realizes the technology allows for that. And he is fighting them, protecting the people. So it's not all that surprising when he realizes, oh, I gotta find a bathhouse now. Because Sanji. So later in the arc, when Nami and Robin and the Konichi girl are all in a co-ed bathhouse, so Sanji could have been respectful and just joined the co-ed shared bathing facility, but instead he decides to use the raid suit, go invisible, and spy on his friends, which just makes everything worse. Drake and them attack the bathhouse. I forget who they're looking for. They're probably looking... No, they're rounding up people with the crescent moon tattoos, because now they know that that's the sign of the rebellion. So he has to reveal himself because Nami dropped her towel and he got a nosebleed, and defeat them, or fight them, and also rescue Nami and get them all out of there. I'm just going to breeze past it. We've established I do not like this element of Sanji's character at all. Zoro, before he meets with Momo's sister, meets a guy, Yasu, who is just all smiley. He just saved this old man from some thugs, and he's bringing him back to the village. And it's all poor, and everyone is in poverty, but they're all smiling and laughing. And at first, you think it's just like, oh, a good personality, rise above your situation, find happiness anywhere, that kind of thing. Zoro doesn't really understand. He's confused by everyone's attitude, this sweet old man, and he's going about his time. And then because he has the sword from Thriller Bark that he got from that corpse that Greco More had reanimated, everyone thinks that Zoro is a grave robber because the sword came from Wano. So someone at this bridge tries to attack him and take his sword, which leads to the fight, which eventually is interrupted by Momo's sister and Toko running up, and him having to protect them from the assassin who ends up being killer, and then the guy running away. So Zoro is now taken care of, or being taken care of, sorry, by Momo's sister because he got injured in that fight. And Brooke shows up and is just like catching him up on everything that's happened, only to reveal that the old man from before, Yasu, he has been taken and is going to be crucified because actually he was one of Odin's greatest friends, greatest allies, very high up official, and very loyal to their family. And Toko's gone to try to save him or be there with her father that she hears he's in trouble. Luffy in prison protects the old man who's gotten attacked because he shouldn't have these food stocks tokens that he had that Luffy gave him. And that leads to them being sort of further punished and scheduled for an execution by Queen. Now, I absolutely adore Queen. His over the top, he's evil, he can turn into a dinosaur. Like, this man is a presence, and he's pissed that people are eating his food, and he's going to be even more pissed when he learns that Momo's sister had died during the fight back there. So he gets Luffy, and he removes the sea stone cuffs only to put the celestial dragon collar on him and puts him and the old man in a sumo ring, and said, "You will die when you are knocked out of that, and I'm just going to keep sending men in there to fight you until you're dead." And Luffy is just like, "Oh, you took off my cuffs. You're so nice." And he's just like, "Did you not hear the part about the collar killing you?" And Luffy, the sweetest boy, is just like, "I get to train by fighting people. The cuffs are gone. I got the old man beside me. This might as well be, as someone in the comments have mentioned, this might as well be summer camp," because he's just having a blast, because he's taken this as an excuse to train. The old man does not want to hold Luffy back, so Luffy is using his improved skills in observational haki to tell him how to dodge the opponents, while also using Conqueror's haki to knock everybody out. Now, what I absolutely adore is he had improved his observational haki back in Whole Cake Island during his fights there, and now he is working on improving his armor haki in a way that will like push it out as an attack, but also to destroy something from the inside. So through these fights, he's improving his different versions of haki. So I'm excited to see what happens when he has to increase his Conqueror's haki, what form that is going to take. So meanwhile, he's telling the old man, go left, go right. The guy's going to swing, jump, do all this to keep him from being touched and protecting him. And then he's working on perfecting his own new technique that he's working on. The old man recognizes this as, when Luffy's calling it haki, he says this is actually something by a different name that we know here in Wano. I forget the name. Give me a second. Ryu. So I like that little bit of world building where just similar things have different names, especially because Wano's so isolated. So it makes sense that it wouldn't have the same word used to explain this power as the rest of the world does. Now, the old man is going to teach Luffy how to use this new attack because it is something that he is capable of doing. They continue to fight all throughout the day, and eventually nighttime falls, so Queen calls everything off for the night and puts guards on them so no one can like feed them or anything like that, only for Luffy to send out Conqueror's haki, knock out the guards. Raizo and Caribou show up, give them food. Him and the old man gorge themselves and eat a bunch. And they have a plan to eventually break out. And also that prisoner in the cell is actually, he looks like a samurai frog. So he's a very good friend of Raizo and one of the 9 samurai, and the one who had been taking care of Momo's sister for the first 13 years during the time jump. Kawamatsu. So they're just trying to get the escape out. And then when the fighting starts again, that's when the televised execution happens, showing both Yasu and the fake identity of Momo's sister's funeral. So the execution funeral taking place at the same time. Now, Yasu is up there, and he's holding strong and having his like dignity, and he's taking full responsibility for the fact that the shogun had rounded up a bunch of people with the crescent moon tattoo and threw them all in prison, saying that this was all a joke by him. He can't believe that the shogun guy fell for it, and it was just taking advantage of a trend. He also reveals himself to be, was it the daimyo or the head of a family, very important to Oden, loyal to them, and this man is beloved by everybody. And there's a crowd gathering saying, let him go, you can't do this to him. He was a saint of the village because all the money that his daughter had been making sent back to take care of him, he was using it, giving the food away to the people and taking care of everyone he could. This man was so beloved, everyone thought he would be shogun rather than Oden in the future. Even Oden thought that, but he's just like, no, Oden, this is your responsibility. I need you to pull your life together. Like, this is a beloved, beloved man. And the shogun guy, Orochi bastard, he just has him executed. As he's speaking, he is riddled with bullets as his daughter is running to him screaming, and Zoro is chasing after her. She witnesses her father die. She squeezes through the barrier and tries to give him medicine, which doesn't work because it's Usopp's stupid toad oil that's not going to do anything. And in my absolute horror and shock, her and everyone in the immediate area, as he lays dying, bursts out laughing. Zoro is ready to kill somebody. He is shocked, like no one should be laughed at upon their death. How he doesn't know what to think or respond. And Momo's sister comes up to him and holds him in his arms. And it's just like, no, you don't understand. They can't help it. And then my blood pressure spikes because we learn the truth about the smile fruit. The stupid smile fruit that's been going on since Punk Hazard, and I've never once questioned why it's called the smile fruit. So you have a couple different options of what can happen when you have the smile fruit. Essentially, you can get the Zoan powers transformation. Great. It might not work. I think there's like a 10% chance of it working. Then you have the third option of it. Not only will it fail, you won't get the powers, but it will take away your emotions. You will not be able to grieve, or I don't think you can feel angry or anything like that. All you can do is maniacal laughter as you lose the ability to grieve. This impoverished community they're being beaten down by this Orochi bastard and his government, and how they're destroying the world and their country, and they're starving to death. What the shogun does is he decides that it would be beneficial for him to remove this area that he doesn't like. Like, you are killing the vibe. I don't like how sad you are. I don't like the sound of your stomach scrambling. I don't like the fact that you're upset that I have destroyed the environment and you're a bad look. So he takes the failed smile fruits that he has named Smile as an insult because of this side effect, and gives it to them as the leftovers. And eventually they learn that if they ate this fruit, they are going to lose their ability to grieve, they'll lose their emotion, and all they will be able to do to express any emotion is laughing as if they were happy, to hide the fact that they are in pain. But they are starving to death. So they eat the food, and now this entire community can only smile and laugh. So when they are laughing like this, they are actually crying and in immense pain at their loved one's death, seeing him die, and this is all they can do is laugh. I hate Orochi bastard so very much. Like, oh my god, are you killing me, Oda? That is brutal. Now, Orochi bastard recognizes Toko as the little kid who laughed at him during the banquet, and he blames her for getting this beautiful woman killed. That was because she defended her. So he's like, kill her. So such and such goes to attack, only for both Zoro and Sanji to come to her defense. So they're finally back together. I haven't realized how long it's been since they fought side by side again, and they're reunited again. Seeing Zoro wrap his arms around Toko and keep her safe and defending her from the attack was just beautiful, and I loved it. They start fighting. Everything goes into chaos. Zoro ends up having to go to protect Momo's sister. And I think it's Usopp gets Toko out of there. And Sanji is pissed that Zoro knows this beautiful woman, eventually sucks up to Momo, saying, "Hey, that's your sister, is it?" Like, Sanji is driving me up the wall in this arc a little bit. He's had some cool moments, but that side of his character is really bugging me. There might be someone I hate more than Orochi Bastard, though, because Hawkins, who was my favorite of the that generation, just for his design for the tarot cards, he was just cool. He was just cool. And then I learned about the straw man power that he has, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty sweet. I like this. I like this a lot. I want to see him die, I think, more than anyone else right now. Because when La showed up to get his crew back, because his crew had been kidnapped, and we have sowed the seeds of betrayal because, or not trusting each other in our favorite pirate alliance, because the shinobi girl, Konichi, she had said to La, your crew has already been captured. They were probably the ones who revealed the symbol of the crescent moon and betrayed us. La is just like, don't you ever insult my crew. They would never betray us. We see cuts of them being like beaten in prison, and they're like, I hope La doesn't think we betrayed him. And Beho was just like, the captain will believe in us. And so he has showed up to fight Hawkins to get his crew back. And what happens? What happens? Hawkins takes his sword and cuts his arm, and his crew start bleeding. It's like, I have 3 new straw men. So he has linked their lives to him. So La can't kill him without killing his crew. I hate this man so very much. Eventually, we do get the release of La's crew in exchange for La giving himself up. So La is then taken hostage, and Hawkins reveals that his alliance fell apart because the airplane, the pilot guy, whatever, was always a part of Kaido's crew, betrayed them, and there was a 0% chance of Hawkins surviving if he didn't join Kaido's crew, whereas Kid continued to fight and resist it, which is why he was thrown in prison. Now we have Hawkins basically chopped to pieces because La has escaped, but La talks to someone in the shadows and is like, if me escaping is part of your plan, then I'm going to allow it. I'm going to play into it. So he's gone back. And I refuse to believe that La is going to betray Luffy. I do not believe that for a second. However, if given the choice between Luffy or Luffy's crew and his own crew, I do think he will choose his own crew and protect them. He's protecting his family. He's not losing any more of his loved ones. So I am interested to see what the plan is with him and what Hawkins and this other guy in the shadows was thinking. Cutting back to Luffy in the the sumo situation. Now we get everything's getting a step worse because Kid has been recaptured. He had escaped, but he had tried to bring back the assassin or stop him, which it turns out that to be Killer, his crewmate and friend. So they're both being dragged in. They are then held underwater and are drowning. Queen tells Luffy, I'm going to keep them underwater until you're dead. So, if the longer you fight, the sooner they're going to die. And Luffy doesn't know what to do. Cue Big Mom, who had been coming to fight Kaido, only to be attacked, knocked overboard, washed up on shore with amnesia. Do I like the amnesia plotline? No, I don't. And quite honestly, Sabo, I dealt with it. I still didn't like it, but it worked for the story. It had the unique twist with Magma Bastard's name being the same as the sake cups, and that reminding him of Luffy and the trigger for him and Ace and all that, and regaining his memories. Like, it wasn't terrible. It could have been handled worse. I'm okay with Sabo's side of the amnesia storyline. I don't like it, but it worked. Big Mom having amnesia, again, I don't overly like it. However, I do like Big Mom as a character. I talked about it before about her being like a child who never learned to regulate her emotions, never learned how to hold back or like impulse control and stuff like that, and not understanding that her strength is different than those around her. So I like her aspects in that part of her character. So when she's lost her memories, she is just like a big child. Chopper and the group find her. He's freaking out because she's a ticking time bomb. The second she regains her memories, she can kill them all. But they take her back, they feed her, they're kind to her, and she's just like, I want to go get the food you guys are talking about from this location to bring it back to your village and feed you all. Because children can be sweet, they can be little psychopaths, but they can also be very kind and want to share. So that's now a little bit of what she wants to do. She wants to go to this place to bring food back to the people who were kind to her. So they send her to the prison. She knocks down the door, hence opening the gate so everyone can come in to help free Luffy, and she starts fighting. Queen attacks her, and she grabs this dinosaur, swings him around, beats him like it's nothing. One punch, one of the most powerful men in this prison complex is down and out. And she did it like it's nothing, showing the power of an emperor. Like, Big Mom is terrifying. In doing so, she also knocks Kid and them down. Luffy, however, mentions that he has also eaten all the food that she came here for, so when she finds the barrel empty, she now blames Luffy and is attacking him. Luffy devises a plan to try to get away from her, only for Queen to eventually get back up and bang Big Mom on the head, regaining her memories. Thankfully, she passes out before she can do any more damage, and Queen is just like, put her in the sea stone cuffs. As many as we got, use all of them and get her out of here. We need to bring her to Kaido. So that now removes both Big Mom and Queen from the situation. Luffy no longer has his cuffs. He does have the collar on, but thankfully when Big Mom had knocked him out of the circle, which should have killed him, he uses the power, the same one that Rayleigh had to save the mermaid from Sabati, and rips the collar off both him and the old man. So we have advanced in that power and technique, so that was wonderful. However, it was more of an impulse. He can't really do it on command. He needs to practice. But now Luffy is free. They say he's still free, and Luffy's response is, I've always been free. Like, you cannot contain this man. I love Luffy and his goal for freedom, and no one can hold him back, and his will to make everyone else free. I love Luffy. The remaining prison wardens is like, hey, other prisoners, grab him. Now, all the prisoners are people who had rebelled against Kaido in the past. So you would think they would take this opportunity, like the door is open, they've seen how strong Luffy is, to revel around him and rejoin the efforts to stop Kaido. Instead, they attack Luffy. They follow the jailer's orders and attack him. And everyone's just like, what is wrong with you? It's like, you're an outsider. You don't understand. We've been through all this. We can't take it anymore. We don't want your help. We just want, like, to live. We're tired. And Luffy's just like, this isn't freedom. This isn't peace. What does it matter if I'm an outsider? I'm going to take down Kaido. And the prisoners don't know what to do, don't know what to think, but they can only, their will has been broken, so they're fighting Luffy. And then the prison warden takes out this gun with bullets of a plague. It's a plague. It turns them into mummies, and they suffer as they die because this area has just made the most terrifying weapons to attack their own people with. So he shoots somebody, the mummy plague attacks anyone he touches, so he's just like, I don't have to be able to hit Luffy. I gotta hit any of you, and it'll eventually spread to him. And Luffy, oh my god, this boy. He wraps his arms around everybody, taking the plague into himself, and is just being like, this won't stop me. And he gains their respect, and eventually they all stop fighting him. They recognize his power. Prison warden guy with the elephant gets a giant plague thing, and Luffy's extreme observational haki kicks in. He's like, I just seen a really bad future. Ties up the trunk, allows it to explode in there. It's just like, you're not doing any of this. So he makes a huge stand as he's infected by the plague, but not beating him down. So the prisoners are willing to stand down as the samurai show up, and they're like, hey, we're standing with Luffy. Luffy is dying from the plague. Chopper's trying to heal him. He's talking to Momo. And eventually Momo gets pushed out, and all the prisoners who were very hesitant to join the fight see him immediately bow, and it's like, it's so good to see you're alive. We are with you, showing the respect they have for his family and what they are willing to do now that they really do truly know that he is still alive. The Toad Samurai, Kamawatsu. Eventually, he leaves to go look for Momo's sister, and he is reunited with them along with Zoro, as Zoro is once again trying to get his sword back from the fighter on the bridge. Momo's sister explains that she had ran away from him after the 13 years because he had kept giving her all his food and she didn't want him to starve to death. The Kawamatsu had went to a shrine cemetery, and all the soldiers, all those samurai and warriors were buried with their swords. So he's trying to remove the swords from the graves because he knows the army needs to be protected and armed when they do return. And we've established how bad grave robbing is, but he's saying that this fighting's not over, these weapons still need to be used, when this little fox spirit starts attacking him, trying to defend the graves. Eventually, seeing his resolve, the fox spirit stops fighting it, and this is one of my favorite parts of the arc, with the exception of the death and crucifixion scene that actually destroyed me, and the reveal of the smile fruit. So this fox spirit had transformed into the soldier that Zoro's been fighting and has been stealing weapons all these years after Kawamatsu had been imprisoned. So he has been stealing the weapons and hoarding them underground. So when Zoro chases after him and he reveals a secret passage, because now he knows Zoro is with Momo's sister, who is friends with his friend Kawamatsu, he leads them to this storage place. And Kinemon is in contact with him saying, hey, we're gathering all our allies and everything, but we still don't have any way to arm them. Komatsu is just like, yeah, that won't be a problem. And it's just walls and walls of swords. You then get a talk with Zoro about how the sword that was a historical artifact of Wano and should be returned, but he doesn't want to give it back because it's his sword. Momo's sister is just like, what if I gave you my father's sword? So Zoro makes the trade, and she gives him Imma? Something like that. A sword that said to cut down to hell or something like that. I need the exact words. Because tinfoil hat time. A sword that splits the earth to the bottom of hell. Now, one of the reasons they gave him the sword was because it's the only weapon known to have injured Kaido. However, you cannot keep give me all these references to hell, especially in relations to Zoro, and you also got the relationships, parallels with Sanji and Brook, and Resurrection and all that. All this mention of hell, to cut to hell, and not let me think that Luffy isn't going to die at some point, and they are going to have to travel to hell to go get him. I refuse to believe this isn't going to happen, because Luffy needs to die in this series. There's been too much set up for Luffy's death. So the options are, because he sacrificed like decades of his life during the Impel Down incident and again at Marineford, like he has to die in this series for that payoff to happen. I refuse to believe that Oda is just setting all this up and isn't going to follow through. It started as a tinfoil hat, but I truly believe that Luffy will be dying. La will offer him the immortality. You also have a quote from this very arc where Luffy's saying, like, I decide when and where I die, or something along those lines. And Luffy's going to turn to La and be like, no, you are not giving up your life for me. I'm not letting a friend die for me. This is my choice. I'm choosing to die here rather than sacrifice you. Luffy will die, and somehow they are going to go to hell, travel, sail across the river Styx into the underworld to go find him. We will have a moment where Luffy is talking to Ace. They will break my heart and soul again, because Ace is also going to be reunited with Whitebeard and all his crew. And seeing their final goodbye will traumatize me. Luffy will return, and I don't know what's going to play out from there, because that's when my tinfoil hat theory really starts being really tinfoil hat theory. But, like, I can't not imagine them not going to the underworld. I realize that people keep telling me that Oda does not like resurrecting characters. However, I can't see any other way. So they give Zoro this new sword, and he unleashes it, does a swing, and it overwhelms him. Like, he almost loses the arm. It chops off a piece of an island, and Zoro's just like, this is a good sword. Once I learn to control it and master it, I'll be even more powerful. So that is really cool. Momo refuses his father's sword, saying he's not ready for it yet. So that is a sword that can cut to the heavens. And again, works with my tinfoil hat theory because I fully believe that the third ultimate weapon of Uranus is up on the moon and that the elephant of Zhao is like following the moon. So it's walking with the tides, protecting the ancient weapon or below the ancient weapon, some kind of relationship there, just following it. And Momo having a sword from the heavens will somehow be used to activate, control, lower, do something with the weapon on the moon in the heavens. I think it works. So that all happens. Big Mom meets up with Kaido. Kaido says to let her go, give her her weapon. The crew thinks he's joking. He's not. They start fighting. Clash, split the skies the same way Shanks and Whitebeard did. My darling Whitebeard. And then eventually, the next time we cut to them, they're back to being friends. And, well, friends, allies. They used to be shipmates, crewmates, whatever. They're now going to work together. And once they've conquered the world, because two emperors can definitely do that, then they'll go back to killing each other. We have cuts to everyone training and gathering people and crew and building ships. And more training. And you have the little dumpling cheek girl. She's making straw hats like the rice hat that we seen with Junior back in that Ace made for him. And Marineford gave me PTSD or something. Like, I have actual pain with any little mention of those characters and the Whitebeard pirates. Like, that arc traumatized me. So seeing her make those hats, I was so upset. And happy at the same time. I don't know what I was. Part 2 of Wano has been filled with highs and lows. So I like some moments were slow, some moments were very impactful. I'm excited to see how everything turns out. I hope I like Momo's sister, because I really like the complexity of her starting off. The way she was dismantling and targeting certain individuals from her place in society that she could. I think she's working with that guy with the hair that comes out, and he's got some kind of plan, moving everything into place. But then she talks about how it's not her place to see her brother, and I don't know, like how she shouldn't see them till after the fight. Emotions have no place in the fight. I don't really like what we're doing right there. So I hope it's because she doesn't want to go see her brother because she doesn't want to screw up his plan because she's got her own plan. I hope she's not just going to be sidelined. I hope she's going to be doing something during the fight, if not actually fighting her in the battle, but doing some kind of manipulation behind the scenes. I want something from her because I really liked her by like the midpoint of this arc. Overall, I'm excited to see what happens in part 3. I don't think Wano is my favorite arc so far, but I'm definitely enjoying it. The smile fruit is one of the most terrifying things and inclusions of the story so far, so love that. Am I missing anything? I don't think so. So I'm sure I skipped over a lot of little details because so much was happening. But I will check in later, talk in the comments about any other specific moments. Bye.